Hey, Sammy here, and today's video is going to be a little bit about the ways that you can annoy HR and recruiters. Now, there's a lot of ways to ignore people in HR or recruiters, and I'm just going to focus on one. And now, before I go into detail, I need to do a disclaimer. I don't like whataboutisms. And whenever you talk about maybe the ways that job seekers could do things better, it usually happens where somebody turns it back around and says, what about bad recruiters? Now, I get it. I'm a career counselor first, so I'm just as annoyed with bad recruiters, sourcers, as anybody else, especially the ones that kind of act like telemarketers and especially those that scrape emails. However, when we're job hunting, we really can't control external forces, but we do have control over how we are, how we behave, and how we are networking. And frankly, I'd rather focus on the stuff I can control. So when we're talking about how you can, one, build better connections on LinkedIn, when you are thinking about how you can job search, how you can stand out among the crowd, there's a lot of things that you can actually control. It can be anything from optimizing your LinkedIn profile to get the right opportunities coming your way, taking your email off your profile so people can't scrape it, maybe even curating the relevant recruiters in your area and getting them into your network. And those are great ways that you can take control of your own experience as a job hunter. But there's a lot of other ways that you can actually make some personalized reach outs and stand out in the crowd without annoying HR. Now, I can tell you, as somebody who has helped with hiring processes, as somebody who has done, recruitment contracts, I know that at least 50% of the applicants that I will get for any one job will pretty much disqualify themselves. At least 50%. That's why I tell most of my clients not to worry about the competition or even get freaked out by the numbers that they see with LinkedIn Premium, because the bulk of those people will have done something to make it so that their resume kind of goes in and goes out. So you might want to already think about what you might be doing and how you can do it better when it comes to standing out from the crowd. So some of you guys might already know that doing a personal reach out is a great way to set yourself apart from the crowd. But how do you do it without annoying HR or the recruiter? Here's 3 things that you can do that really do help out. 1, you can read the job description and not ask things explained in the job ad. Now that seems pretty simple, right? Well, you'd be surprised how often when it comes to recruiting that people just don't. Like, they stop at maybe the first line or the job title. Now for me, since I only take on individual job openings with companies that I really like, I never have more than one job that I'm filling on my plate at any one time, which is really awesome. However, most recruiters, whether they're in-house or out of the house, they might have, sometimes they have up to 15 jobs that they're seeking candidates for. So imagine how many random questions that they're going to get that don't even pertain to it. I recently got a new sort of contract where I'm helping find mentors for an online school, and I'm looking for remote web developers who want to mentor, who want to help the next generation. You know how many people have been sending me messages about how their outsourced team in India or in the Ukraine can help me with building my web design projects? Which is, if you read the second line, it even says in my job description, this is not a coding job. However, most people, they're not always reading more than that. And yes, you could say, oh, well, recruiters don't read my resume, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're always going to return that kind of, favor, if you see that it's a bad recruiter or something like that, you can feel jaded. However, because there might be some bad actors, really doesn't give you much of a reason to kind of return the favor to somebody who might be really helpful with your career. Most of the time with those folks, I thank them politely. Maybe if I know of any opportunities, I might send it their way. But I really, really, really get a little frustrated, especially if it's something that's in the second line of the job ad. I've even had people where we go back and forth with questions, and I'll tell them how much the compensation is, because I'm very upfront about that. Like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. There's no reason for us to do a call if it's not in your pay range. But I've had people where I will tell them what the compensation is, and then the next day they'll ask me what the compensation is again, as if it's going to change. It's not. It's going to be the same. So make sure that you're reading the job description. You're not asking things already explained on the job ad. And if the recruiter or hiring manager is answering your questions, don't ask the same question again. The next thing that you can do to not annoy HR is when they're telling you in either a post or something else to just apply at the website, don't comment to them saying, telling them to personally message you with information. Because if they already told you exactly how to apply, they probably don't have more information that's actually in the job description itself. Or if they do, they're probably going to be like, okay, go to this link, which is already in the post. Now, it might seem like a small thing, but being able to follow those instructions, especially if it's clearly labeled, is a sign. If you're not following that, they're going to wonder, is this the person to trust with an advanced coding project or maybe a big project? Really, you got to think about those small little details, because for a lot of you guys are in detail-oriented work where people are making, you know, between even juniors are making like over $70,000 a year. People don't really want to give that kind of money to someone who might make those mistakes all the time. So always make sure that you follow the instructions. And now the last thing is give them time to respond without badgering or insulting them. I have dealt with a lot of interesting responses where sometimes when it's 5 or 6 p.m. and it's dinner time or something like that, I get off LinkedIn, I get off the computer. You'd be surprised how many people who will reach out to me and say, demand information, and then if it's in the evening and I'm just not checking this because, you know, I'm not on the clock, they start just immediately insulting you. So always keep in mind that while most of you guys are not going to do that, you're not going to randomly insult another professional in the business or anything like that. Keep in mind that a lot of recruiters have to deal with really annoying abuse because people get frustrated with maybe some telemarketer type recruiters, so they take it out on all recruiters. It's like they had one bad experience, so everybody's awful. Even if most of the time they might be a great recruiter who could help your career, but at that moment they just can't help you, or they're just not at work, and they'll get back to you during business hours. Now, I'm not saying most of you guys would do those things, but always keep in mind that your average recruiter is dealing with so many messages, so many jobs, and maybe some less than polite people, that if you can actually just go through, read the job description, only ask questions that are not explained in the job ad, you know, follow the application instructions, and be polite and give them time to respond to you, you can actually do that bare minimum and still be pretty impressive, because you'd be surprised how many people are not doing that out there. So I know that a lot of this video sounded like a lot of common sense, but sometimes the thing about common sense is that it's less common than you think. So if you're ever thinking about, hey, how do I interact with this person on LinkedIn, always keep in mind that's another human on the other end of the computer. So be nice, be polite, and also make sure that if they have, because some job ads are not written well. We all know that. We've all read a job ad where you're like, what is going on here? But look it over. There's a lot of job ads that people have put a lot of time and thought into writing, and it might answer most of your questions before you ask. So I hope this was helpful, and I'd love to hear your comments below on other things, whether you are a recruiter or a job seeker, on ways that we can actually do better with networking with each other and find ourselves making win-wins, whether it's getting a job, whether it's a referral, and just figuring out how to network better together. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm Sami Gardner, your career specialist.